got you nervous?
Duro
got Nina nervous. Come on, let's check this off real fast. Check 1 through, shake the nervousness off.
Okay.
Duro is in the house. Hey. Everybody, he really is. Stand up.
This is our first out-of-state guest, and I think we're just so blessed to have him. But welcome to the Stand on Your Business podcast with your host, Nina Gonzalez, and
I am Tasha Robinson. So glad to have you today because we are going to give you some tips on how to stand on your business.
All right. So today's guest, just a quick background. Many years, or not many years ago, maybe 2 years ago, one of Natasha's business associates is like, hey, there's some people who from the internet who are going to have a meet and greet. I said, if we could have it at your office. So we're like, okay, that's fine. Not thinking about it as a big deal. Then they tell us the names, okay? So I'm like, wait, what? We got to figure out what to do.
And when they told me the names, I still didn't know because I'm very terrible with social media.
I have been following him for years already.
Oh, wow.
Never knew that I was going to have the opportunity to meet him that night. So here we are. We got to get some hoodies made. We got to get some hoodies made, right? We had to get the office clean.
Like 2 hours. We had to get ready for y'all. And it was like, wait, we researched they wear gym shoes when they speak. So then I had my boy down the street go grab me some red Jordans to match my hoodie.
And he did not disappoint.
Not at all.
That whole office was jam-packed. People got there early. We was trying to figure out, like, who are even these people? They was coming to our office while we were still in office hours working. So it was like 4:30. They're like, hey, we're here for the meet and greet. You got to wait over there.
Yeah.
And let's talk about the fact that they were so protective of him. They said that our office was in the hood.
Yeah,
they did say that.
They definitely said that. Yeah, they definitely said that.
They said that. Why are you guys going down there?
Yeah, they definitely said that. I mean, and for all, and shout out to my boy Max, but that was from the Maxwell crowd. My crowd, right. we good in the hood. His crowd, they a little uppity. So, there was definitely some talk like that on my page.
Because if they thought 26 and Wabash in the hood, I want to know where his followers live.
I swear. Oh, yeah, his followers be rich. You know what I mean? Mine be like, hey, now you sure this meetup is free? Because I'm about to head down. I'm like, yeah, it's free. Just come on in.
So that's how I met you. And, from then, he's given me great tips. Oh my gosh. For him to take out the time to give me advice on how to grow my social media or what are the new tricks and the algorithms that Instagram is picking up, I've never had. And he has a huge following. That's the kind of dedication and care and attention that I know Doru has for his mentees, for his course, how he treats his tenants, the sellers. I mean, that is a man of substance, so I'm super excited to have you here.
Thank you.
Can you just talk to us a little bit about yourself and what you currently have going on?
All right, so I'm Nasser El Arabi. I've been involved in real estate since 2007. I've been doing this business full-time since September 2012 when I got fired from my job. Born and raised in Jersey. I did relocate to Charlotte, North Carolina in 2008.
Wait. You got fired from your job?
I got fired from my job
I was going to ask
September
about that.
of 2012, yes.
Okay. we gonna jump into that. We're going to let you do your introduction.
I got fired.
But we want to know why you got fired from your job.
Oh, yeah. We'll get into that. But, so back in, I finished undergrad in like 2007, moved to Charlotte in 2008. Me and my boy watching Flip Those House shows, right? We it looked so easy, so we went out and flipped the house. Now you might remember this, and I'm sure you remember this, but and to my young 20-something people, this might sound crazy to y'all, but back then during 05, 06, 07, you went to the loan officer. The loan officer told you what you made, and you got the house.
Yeah.
Like you literally, like she told you what you made.
I don't know about that. But I don't know about that. I just want to put that on record. I don't know about that. No,
and they were called the no docs.
Stated programs.
The no doc.
You just state what you make, you state, and then you tell us that, and that's what you make on the application if you had the credit score for the program.
There you go. So we bought a house that way, went to flip it, and long story short, we did everything wrong. We ended up losing like $7,000 a piece. And I relocated to Charlotte in 2008. And Charlotte, for those who don't know, Charlotte, North Carolina, at that time, Charlotte was the number 2 biggest banking city. Right now, it's the number 3. So it's a bunch of banks there. So by default, I got into banking. Never had a good job in the call center, of course. In the call center, got in banking, was doing that for 4 years. But in 2010, I read a book. I was fed up with life. I was about 26 years old, finally started reading. Because I didn't read in high school. I didn't do much in high school. But in college, I definitely, back then, this before turnitin.com, guys. So you could literally buy your papers and everything off the internet and turn them in. So that's what I was doing.
Wow.
So got through college that way, didn't read anything. And
y'all can't do that no more. They on the chat GBT now. I already called me for my daughter last week. The principal did. So you can't do that anymore.
You can't do that no more. That's that the game is dead. But I took advantage of the opportunity.
You faked it until you made it.
There you go.
All right.
Literally. So at 26, I finally started reading books because my site director at the time, he told me about this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Okay. Is that the book you're referring to? The book that like catapulted?
There you go.
Okay.
That book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And please, guys, remember this. Never tell your job about your goals, your dream, and all that. Don't do that. But I was dumb in my 20s. I did. And one thing the advice he did give me was read this book. But anyway, I read that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And from there, that was a game changer. I found out about wholesaling houses. And when I found out about wholesaling houses, that was it. So the next year, I did my first wholesale deal. After that, I got fired in September of 2012 and been doing this business full-time ever since.
Can you just backtrack real quick? What is wholesale? Like, how can you even wholesale real estate? What is that?
That's a good question. So wholesaling essentially allows you to get into real estate without leveraging credit, without having a bunch of money in the bank. Okay, without having a realtor's license, without needing a realtor, right? Now, what you do is you find a motivated seller. So hypothetically speaking, let's say you find the seller, they inherited a house let's say Charlotte, North Carolina, but they live in Chicago, right? They was born and raised there, but they live in Chicago. They got a family, they married. They're not trying to come back to Charlotte. They, love the Windy City and the deep dish pizza here, right? So they got this house. They know they have never, this house was never updated since their mother bought the house brand new in 1970. So they know the house is worth $100,000. And they're like, hey, listen, man, you give me $45,000 for this house. I know it needs work. The city is continuously sending me letters about cutting the grass and all of that. I can't make it up there. I sent some guy some money to cut the grass, and of course he never did it. So therefore, I'm not trying to go back. I'm not trying to go back up there. So if you give me $45,000, let's say we agree on $40,000, I will then sign a contract with this seller, right? We sign a contract, and from signing the contract, I'll find a cash buyer, and I will assign him that cash buyer for $50,000. So on closing day, right? The cash buyer, the cash buyer will wire in $50,000. The seller gets that $40,000. You walk away with a $10,000 check.
When was the last time you done a deal like that?
We do them every month. So we did one in November.
Every month.
Yeah,
you get a wholesale property. You get a wholesale property. So the $10,000, you don't have to put no money in. You just was the negotiator.
That's it.
And you walk away with the bag.
And find the deal. Now, as total disclosure, disclaimer, if you live in Illinois, you're allowed one without a license.
Yeah.
After one, they make you get a license. So you do have to have a license.
Thank you for that disclosure, because that's new. That happened like last year or the year before.
Yes.
Yeah, it happened the year before. Mm-hmm. But also check your municipalities, because each state has different laws on it. It might be 5 in your state. And with 5, who doesn't need an extra $50,000?
But we were just talking earlier about budgets and things like that. So if somebody is off on their bills by $10,000, they can do one deal in Illinois. They can find a house, a motivated seller, and a buyer. And then as it relates to the title company, right? The title company is the person that does the transaction. How does that work? Do they put them on the title where they're receiving that 10? Is that all typed up and ready to go for them to see? Like, how does that part work?
Okay, so it's not on the title. Fortunately, as a wholesaler,
Nice.
you just assign the contract. It's not on the title. All you're doing is going to be on the HUD statement that you're getting this assignment fee for $10,000. And
assignment fee.
Yes.
So a HUD statement means like the settlement statement that breaks down all of the fees between the buyer, seller, title company, whatnot.
Okay, wholesaling for the holidays.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like the way you're breaking it down, it could easily be, it doesn't have to be two strangers. It could be my coworker said her mom's house is empty. I know my other coworker or my cousin that wants to buy a property. Right. It could be that easy. Like you don't, as long as you know the basics and the rules, which he has a course for, and we'll talk about that later. You don't have to be an expert to start in wholesaling.
No, absolutely. No, you just have to be willing to work. And that's what most people give up at, is the work part. So
Instagram don't show nobody doing no work. They think everything is easy.
I see him working.
I always see him working.
Walking
through all of those houses. And I'm not on social media like that, but I always see you walking in the house, talking to a client, showing the property, showing where they started.
I saw him 2 days ago. I said he had an incident happen in one of his Airbnbs.
Oh, I think
broken handle. Water is spraying out the side of the wall. My boy is there with his workers trying to find the water meter. The water's just coming out. The tenant broke the handle, left. I mean, I don't even think you can charge. I don't think they got the limit on the credit card they put on Airbnb to fix what they did. And I'm like, God, make sure everything's okay. Because I knew he was going to come today. I said a quick prayer for him, man. I hope it all works out. Like, 2 hours later, I see that you guys found the main water line.
Yes.
Right? So, yes, he's an investor. Yes, he's a wholesaler. But he knows how to handle that business.
You have to. I mean, in real estate, being emotional is not going to help you. Like, you have to keep it level-headed and just get to the solution. Yes.
Also, all my emotional buyers, that's wrong for them right now?
That's 80%.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they're not wholesalers, so I guess that's a good thing. But they are very emotional.
Yeah, when you invest and you own property, because when you have tenants, right, it's not if something goes wrong, it's when.
When.
Yeah, it's when. So, I believe that happened. That happened on Monday of this week. So that life just kicked my butt that day. Like everything went wrong that day, but that's just part of the business. And you live to see another day. You focus on the one thing, let's correct this issue. Then you go talk to Airbnb and you see what the outcome is going to be through their insurance. Sometimes I'm impressed with Airbnb insurance. Sometimes it's like, man, what the? So
how do you prepare? And sorry for veering off topic, but how do you prepare for those not if, but when moments with real estate?
Okay, this is why I teach my students and what I tell people. When you own property, I suggest you have a minimum of reserve, $5,000 for each property.
Each property, not one, each property.
Each property.
That's correct. So if you got a duplex, I'm suggesting a reserve of $10,000 for each door.
Oh, for each door.
So, because, $5,000 for each door you have a minimum reserve for that.
And I want you guys to know, because we're in Illinois, our duplex is a 2-flat. That's what we call it. So when he's saying duplex, he's not talking about your upstairs and downstairs townhome. He's talking about you have 2 units, 2 apartments. You should try to aim to save $10,000 because you have 2.
$5,000 per unit.
$5,000 per unit.
Or per door.
Because something will always go wrong.
If not,
always.
It's not if, it's when.
Exactly.
It's when. I don't care if you get a brand new house. You're like, nah, they just built this house, and I'm the first buyer. Something's going to go wrong.
So if something gonna always go wrong, why do you keep buying property? Why should they buy a property when they know something gonna always go wrong?
Just following the money. Following the money. I mean,
I like that.
At one point, real estate was the #1 wealth builder in America at one point. Now, you have the internet and everything else. I don't think real estate is #1, but it's like top 5, top 3.
Yeah.
So today, it's like, if everybody's building their welfare here, right? You can be the average person. I can't rap. I seen you. I heard you spitting earlier. You know what I mean? I can't rap. I can't dance. I graduated from high school with a 1.8 GPA.
Wow.
Cheated all through college, and
worked still made a million.
Yeah.
Still a millionaire.
and worked in a call center with a call center background. And for those who work in human resources, you probably know this, that once you get that call center stripe on your back, it's kind of hard to get it off your back. You know, because people just look at you, oh, you're just a call center worker, you get other call center jobs. And that's why people in that industry jump from call center to call center, because that's all they can get. But, you know, the real estate gives you an opportunity to be, and I stole this from Jamel King, for you could be the average person and make an extraordinary income.
I mean, enough said.
Yeah.
If that's because, and also one of the things, it's the industries that has the least amount of barriers to entry.
I swear.
It's the least amount of barriers to entry, because as long as you got decent credit, a little bit of money in the bank, or maybe not even a lot of money, we can negotiate down payment assistance, have the seller pay you, but you don't have to be, you know, somebody's relative. You don't have to have connections. You don't have to, you know, it is an industry that is open to many.
Yeah.
There you go. I moved to Charlotte in 08. I didn't have no friends down there. I just moved down there. Didn't know anybody. I just wanted to get away from Jersey. So
I wanted to ask about that. Like, why Charlotte though?
Okay, so I did some research online. This back when America Online days. So I don't know if y'all remember AOL, but this was back in America Online days. They had the chat room.
Hey, I remember the AOL chat room though.
It used to go down in them chat rooms, y'all. Y'all don't know. But anyway, before the DM was the chat room. So, but anyway, it was okay. So for you 20-something-year-old folks, I know y'all think that this wave of moving down to Atlanta just started. No, this has been around since I got out of high school in 01. So this has been around since back then. I just had people, they go to Atlanta for a weekend to party. Mm-hmm. All right? For a weekend to party. They come back. Hey, man, I'm moving to Atlanta. Yeah, you moving to Atlanta? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, what's going on out there? And then you might see them, you know, a year or two later because, you know, after you stop partying, you know, you got to deal with real life. And they couldn't deal with real life down there at that time and point. But, you know, and I seen some documentary the other day. They were like, people were moving down in droves to Atlanta back in the 90s. So this is not new with this whole moving down to Atlanta thing. But anyway, I visited Atlanta, me and my friends, and it reminded me of being up north, whereas you had to have money to enjoy the city.
Okay.
Like to go to all the hot spots, you had to have money already. I was like, man, like
how I feel nowadays. That's how it is in 2023.
You gotta have money to go outside.
Right.
Yeah. So that's how it felt back then. So I was like, man, you know, I don't want to relocate down there. So I went to Charlotte and I was like, yo, this is home. It was cheap. You ain't had to have a lot of money to enjoy the city. People weren't, I mean, of course you have, you know, the Jones everywhere. Everybody trying to keep up with the Jones, but it wasn't overly done like in Atlanta. I don't know how y'all know about Atlanta, but Atlanta, they are the mascot of fake it till you make it.
Oh my gosh. But we recently, let's talk about Atlanta because we also saw you this summer in Atlanta. Gracious. It's not even his city and he hosted us there.
Yeah. So with that being
fake it till you make it.
Yeah, so with that being said,
I just knew that they was known for their strip clubs.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I heard they were known for.
Yeah, especially in the early times. Absolutely. So so it was Charlotte, and I was like, okay, well, and then the other, because Dallas was an up-and-coming black city. Well, thing about me, I like to be around minorities. So if I can be around, you know, minorities and professional blacks, that'd be great. So it was like Dallas, and I was like, well, Dallas is too far, and at that time, I'd never been to Dallas. I was like, yo, Charlotte is perfect, and I'm 2 hours away from my grandparents, because my grandparents are from North Carolina, Lumberton, North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
So I was 2 hours away, so I was like, if I'm broke or if anything goes wrong, I can always drive 2.5 hours to go see them.
Yeah.
You know, because they were...
a contingency plan.
Yeah. They were adamant about seeing me 2-3 times a year. And I didn't want to break their heart because, you know, they've been on my whole life. So they're adamant. So I'm like, all right, well, Charlotte is perfect. So picked Charlotte. It was cheap at the time, fortunately. And so, yeah. And that's how I came across Charlotte.
There's something that about you that I really loved. You give away all your secret sauce.
Yeah.
All of it.
All of it. You are not holding back anything.
No.
He even has the dialer, like the text company you use to text people back. It's all listed.
Yes.
Why?
this is like ownership for me, right? It's more than, just having a great lifestyle, right? And just saving myself. Because if you go one generation up, my father was born in 1950. He couldn't own property in most places in America until 1968. Wow. He was 18. So when he was coming up, you couldn't be a minority, any minority in this country, and talk about wealth building. There was no talk about no wealth building at the table because you couldn't build wealth. I mean, the 80 to 85% of lynchings were targeted for successful Black people. So I just want to take advantage of the opportunity that he never had, my parents never had. And not only that, but share it with other people. Like, hey, listen, do this, and, you can own. Because a lot of us, I mean, even though it's 2023, man, we still like a deer in the headlights when it comes to ownership.
And that's why you're here, right? And that's why we have the podcast. Me and Nina said we're going to take some time and do something a little different where we can reach more people. So on the Stand on Your Business podcast, we want people to stand on their business. I want to know how you feel about the percentage of African-American home ownership has been the same since 1978. So that's 10 years from when your dad was able to begin buying. Like, how can we bridge the gap and how can we make people understand how important this is and what they need to do and who they need to be following so that way they can get those steps together and get to at least one property?
All right. I think that in our community, and you know this, but in our community, we often, especially growing up, we don't have a choice. We don't know at the time, but it becomes a habit. We listen to people we shouldn't be listening to.
Every day.
All the time.
Everybody that don't own no house want to tell you why you should not buy a house, but they gonna tell you why you should buy the most new Gucci bag for $2,932. They gonna tell you how to do that.
We see it all the time.
All the time. So right, we oftentimes we go, man, what do you need to buy a house? Oh, you gotta have good credit. You gotta have what? $50,000 in the bank account and all this. Hey, man, no, you don't, right? But we're getting this information from somebody, like you said, who don't own a house. Mm-hmm. And they're telling us this. And, we believe that. And another thing that I'm seeing is most people I talk to is we are under the impression that the first house has to be the dream house.
The first house should definitely be a 4-unit if you can.
If you can, right.
If you can, if you're in a neighborhood that allows you to be 4, but it should not be your dream house unless you have the money to make it.
Unless you have the money.
And even if you do have the money, and this is not a house hacking session, if you can buy a 4-unit and live in it for 1 year, my little brother did that. He already has $200,000 in equity. And he wanted to live downtown at the NEMA. And I said, move there for a year. That's what he did, rented it out and moved to the NEMA. I was okay with that decision because the building was paying for the NEMA and he was able to build his wealth through that property. Okay. But we have to understand that we got to make those sacrifices because we weren't born into wealth.
All right, let me ask you a question. What year did he buy it? And what year did he have, and how many years later did it took to have the $200,000 in equity?
He bought that building about 5 years ago.
Okay.
But it wasn't a wholesale deal, but somebody came to me and brought it to me. And then he just happened to be there. So he purchased it. So he got about $40,000 in it from day one. And then over the past 4 to 5 years, he's gained $200,000 because it's just in a weird place in Bronzeville, which is where we are now. Yeah. But it's just a very appreciating area. So I know that doesn't happen for a lot, but it did happen for him.
I want to highlight here because if you bought in the last 5 years, that story is now becoming more common. Exactly. With 6 figures of equity is happening for a lot of people. Now, he gained $200,000 of equity for something he did once, right? Wow. So to put that in perspective, right, we all know somebody, and I'm going to take myself, I'm 40. So we all know somebody who's been probably working a job, let's say, since they were 18. That's 18. And let's say they're 40, what's that, 22 years?
22.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's say they start off 18, like they start making $8, $9 an hour, but 22 years later, they're now making the average salary in America, which is $59,000, 22 years later. He did something once, 5 years.
Oh, I like the way this is going.
Then $200,000 worth of equity. The point I wanted to make is, your average job is not going to do that.
Ever. Not at all.
It's not going to do that. Like we are, when I was working, I haven't had a job in over 10 years, but when I was working, we used to get the 10-cent raises, the 25-cent raises. Yes. And if you were lucky, you got a 50-cent raise if you were lucky. So you know.
Well,
but
somebody just asked me for a $2 raise yesterday. I was like, wow, that $2? Then they came back with the $4. I'm like, I didn't want to do $2. Now you want $4. Yes, but we definitely in a different time.
Yeah, it was very different time. But anyway, so, real estate can, do things, can build wealth to the, for the average person. All right. So you should get in. And even if you like me, at one point I was heavy into self-development. I used to read a lot. I'm trying to get back into it, make time for reading. A lot of these like sports teams, owners, etc. A lot of these guys, because that when the information age, so they talk about it more. Their family built their wealth through real estate, bought the sports team, and then they just been waving that out for a few generations now. But
started with real estate.
Mm-hmm.
And at the very worst case scenario, which hasn't really happened for anybody that I know, if they don't make any money, at the very least, after 30 years, they don't have a mortgage. And they can use that for retirement, right? So at the very worst, you should at least buy the house you're going to live in. If you don't want to deal with a tenant, if you don't want to deal with any of those things, but we are holding ourselves back. And because I'm on, the Making Real Estate Real, we have students, thousands of students. These people buying from Canada. They come over here to Inglewood, buying up all the properties where they were selling those properties for $5,000 each 10 years ago. Now we're not even going to be able to live. And I say this on the podcast over and over, and I'm going to keep saying it, but we're not going to be able to live in the hood neighborhoods that we was born and raised because we wouldn't buy our own property. And we're going to let somebody from another state, another country, come into your city, buy your home, or buy the home that you should have bought, and then now you have nowhere to live, and then they're going to increase your rent and dictate you can live in your neighborhood.
Let's talk about that rent, though, for a second. Heartbreaking story. This happened right before Thanksgiving at the office that we sit in. One of the rental people comes and shows me, like, how can we help this person? This senior gets $12.97 in Social Security benefits, and she's telling me, man, he gets just complaining about his financial situation, that she cannot find him a place, that he's not responsible with his money. And I'm like, baby, it's $1,200.
Right.
What do you want him to, like, he can't eat, live. Yeah, but he gets $179 off SNAP. Baby, can I open this up?
Food stamps.
Right.
Okay.
I'm trying to open
it back there. Okay.
Okay, I'm trying to open it up to her so she can understand, coming from a place of compassion. You're talking to a senior who only has one source of income, right? Let that senior, let that not be you.
Let that not be you.
Let that not be you, because I have compassion for this senior. I don't know who they are, but their own agent who has to find them somewhere to live ain't got no compassion.
None.
No compassion.
And that's why we're here, to teach you to stand on your business, because if you purchase one property, you won't be looking for nowhere to rent.
No, I like the way he broke that down. Like, 5 years, $200K equity, 22 years, $30,000 raise increase.
Yeah.
But you got to go to work every day. And then they take, look, it costs money to work. I don't got a problem working though.
Right.
But it costs money to work.
Definitely does. And I got a question for you two ladies, because this is something that y'all deal with that I've seen. I've seen this when the prices in Charlotte were cheap, when you can get houses, when you get a brand new house in nice areas for like 120, 140.
We moving there.
150. I've seen this, but I'm gonna hit y'all with this statement. This is another objective that I hear. No, I'm gonna wait till I get my husband so we can just go buy a dream house, or we can buy a house together.
No.
And it's like, yo, what?
It's just that we scared.
No,
like,
it's
not we, but they're scared.
You're gonna scare away, and it just came out.
You're gonna scare away money.
But that's why we're here, because it gotta stop. Like, we don't have a choice anymore, y'all. Like,
there is no choice.
We don't have a choice.
So before you get married, you use the divide and conquer strategy, right? So if you have a couple, and we have people in the room who've done this, one buys the multi-unit, then the second one buys their multi-unit in their name, and when they unite, they own two properties for the price of one. And now you have
two for 3.5% down, FHA, all day, and you can take advantage of your relationship. Y'all worried about going on title. Well, if you don't have nothing to take, it don't matter when you get divorced because you don't have nothing to spend. So I don't understand. And I get that all the time from my couples. I want to go on title. Well, you bought at the top of the market. There's no equity today. Right? So what are we fighting on? And of course they got to get legal advice, but we just want to, motivate you guys to buy Doru. You lost $70,000. Why would you come back and do it again? You know what I'm saying? Like, you lost 70,000.
7,000. 14,000 on that deal. So 7,000.
But that was, I mean, with inflation, it's probably 70.
Yeah,
because we can't even get people to want to buy. So you lost money, 7,000 to be correct.
Yeah.
And then you still went back and did it.
Yeah.
Now, we can't even get them to buy without losing any money.
Oh, yeah.
So you see what I'm saying? Like, we got to figure out how we can get them to have the heart, not to jump off the limb. You need to do your research. You need to find you a great team. Don't just buy a property to buy a property. Yeah. I have seen some realtors out here where they're the listing agent and they trying to sell you on something that absolutely makes any sense, right? So when you ask me, I'm going to tell you if the numbers make sense because that's what I do for a living. But you want to find a good team to get there. But it's like, how do we convince people to understand that even if
I think the economy is convincing them.
Yeah. Fortunately for me, I was too stupid to quit, but he said
too stupid.
I was too stupid to
quit. Fortunately, though.
Fortunately, yeah. But like fear is a learned trait.
It seemed like you had something boiling inside of the feeling that it can work, though. You had some light that was still going, and I feel like we just need to figure out how we can give them a light.
No, I got that now.
Nothing more motivating than getting a paycheck with no comma.
I need you to repeat that.
Ain't nothing more motivating than getting a paycheck with no comma. That thing motivated me to, if I had to, because it took me 8 months to get my first wholesale deal. So, but if it had took 12, I wouldn't have gave up because this was my alternative. Okay, so I could quit, but what am I selling for? So if I quit this, what am I selling for? I'm selling for a paycheck with no comma and to be in this call center 10 years from now. Nah, you know what?
No comma.
I'm just keep doing that. I'm just keep doing my thing. So, and for those who haven't worked in the call center, all right, hypothetically speaking, let's say you plan and your time gets approved for you to take off Memorial Day weekend in Miami, you in your 20s, you don't saved up, you was talking about this vacation for 12 months ahead of time, so you saved up, you could go. The call center, they can come to you and say, hey, our service levels are high. We can't approve this time, so yeah, we're going to have to take this back. You got to come to work. Like, they have that much power over your life. So I'm like, nah, I can't. So I was motivated not to quit real estate. Because even my students, how did you stay motivated? My life sucked. So I dealt with reality that my life sucked. I didn't lie to myself. So I was like, yo, this has to work.
And you go through ups and downs, It seems like you go with ups and downs based off following you with the real estate. You know what I'm saying? But like you said, at the end, it's still worth it at the end.
Yeah, but it's like it's climbing up though.
Right.
So the pivots are there, but it's rising.
When does life get easy? It's like when does life is always going life, and that's what people. It's like I don't say it plain like that on my social media, but that's the message I'm trying to send. Like regardless of how this thing works out, right? So if you don't do real estate, life is still going to be hard. If you do real estate, life is going to be hard. Like life is going to it's going to be hard. Like working a job for 40 years, 50 years is hard.
Now, you brought wholesaling to my, you got it boiling up in here, right? Because in the communities, everybody knows somebody that lost their house.
Everybody.
Yeah.
So everybody got an opportunity to a wholesale deal. And we like to be sneaky. But when you see the orange sticker on the front door, those are the signs, right? Like if grandma got all stacks of mail and she hasn't opened, help her open that mail so you can see what's going on. But I feel like a person could get that first wholesale deal just from a family member or somebody they know, from helping them to stop losing the houses. The people next door to me lost their house. I watched this lady, she died at 99. I watched her every day get up and go to work as a hairstylist. I watched her, this property has been in her family for at least 80 years, like long time. She inherited the property. Nobody paid the mortgage, they lost this house. So of course, we live in North Kenwood, so now somebody else that doesn't look like them bought the house. I was trying to help them keep their house, but I'm like, if anything happens, just let me know.
They did.
Right? I could have bought that house and gave them $50,000 cash on a wholesale deal.
Yeah.
But they would rather, the pride and ego, they would rather lose that house that grandma worked hard every day for, that's been in their family for generation after generation after generation in the area where homes are going to be worth, you can't even really buy a house in North Kenwood right now in Chicago.
What's the average like appreciated value? Like what?
What's the average price
700, 800, 850?
Yeah, if for a Greystone right now, we're at 1.2 million.
1.2.
If you go across the street, Barack lived he used to live 5 blocks away, and that's between 3 and 15 million, just 6 to 10 blocks down the street.
And
so that's
1.2, right?
So it's called North Kenwood. So Barack lives in North Kenwood. You got to go about 4 more blocks south to get to Hyde Park. But
So,
North Kenwood and South Kenwood
it's like a little sliver.
very close to Hyde
Yes.
Park. So you have Bronzeville, North Kenwood, South Kenwood, Hyde Park. But the moral of the story is that everybody knows somebody that's losing a house. And everybody want to be quiet about losing a house. There's no reason why we should be losing our properties to taxes. We have to raise our hand and tell somebody what's going on that actually care about you. Because at the very least, even if you only made $10,000 in cash, at least you got something instead of letting that property just
and you have a preparation, put the pride aside, right? And they can reach out to people like us. I've had situations, which is crazy to me. I've helped people sell properties all the way from 2012 to 2017, maybe 3 a year. And I never made money.
Right. We trying to get.
No, because I
give you from your heart.
Doing it from my heart. I had a friend who her grandmother died. I knew a developer who needed the property. He took, he gave me a nice gift card. Right.
Right. And I think we learned that's called wholesaling when they make money.
And that
should be the same thing.
And I should have been, I wasn't tuned. I wasn't hip with it. So this wholesaling thing could be for financial advisors, insurance agents, they're the ones who get a lot of the calls, right? Because if your company's not paying the insurance, you already know there's a problem on that house.
But guess who else it's for? It's for the person that's making minimum wage, that's downstairs talking to all their coworkers about their grandma about to lose their house, right? So now that you're getting this information today, now you can see how you can sit grandma down to see how much is your house do you owe? How much is it worth? How can we get you to a Duru or a Nina Gonzalez? So now you can sell that. And even the stuff that we're losing, we can still get money from. It's still wealth if we just raise our hand and tell somebody, but we're so secretive. We're so embarrassed. We rather lose $200,000 in equity or $100,000 in equity because we're too embarrassed to tell the next person. And how many people lived in that house? Probably 4 families. When I'm sure that reverse mortgage, the lady was on a reverse mortgage, wasn't that much money.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I see that situation a lot. We don't raise our hand to speak up. And in those situations, people walk away with nothing when they could have walked away with 50, 75,000, 100,000. You get a new life. I mean, when you get a house, and this is for the person watching this, because you two probably know, ask, is there HOA on this house? All right. Let's say there's nobody to ask. Talk to your neighbor. Hey, is there HOA in this? Oh, there's no HOA? Okay. How do I find out about the property tax? Like, ask questions. Ask questions. And I had one of my students pull me to the side and say, hey, because on my calls, I try to encourage them, hey, ask questions. This is why my mentors told me I was successful. I want y'all to be successful. It's not your job. I'm not going to criticize you for asking too many questions. We're not in a corporate workplace. Please ask questions so you have understanding. You can do what you need to do. But one student to pull me to the side and said she has a hard time asking questions because she grew up in the house, whereas she was yelled at for asking the question.
Sit in the front seat, ask every question. Be called the nerd. That can make you lots of money. All the nerds right now making over 6 figures, because they sat in the front of the class and they asked questions. But we have to be more open to giving our voice.
So you talked about your course.
Yes.
You brought that in. Can you tell us a little bit about what that involves, what that looks like?
Yeah, so with my course, you get a wholesaling course, right? You get a wholesaling course. You get a course on how to buy rentals, right? And a course on how to retire with real estate, which is using your retirement account to buy real estate with it. A course on how to wholesale land. All right. So
wholesaling land.
You just don't have to do houses. You can do land. Every major city in America right now is a bunch of development going on. And you should be able to take place in that and make money off of land. So I teach you how to do that. And I got a course on how to rent out rooms. So I'm renting out rooms, and in Charlotte, North Carolina. So
in some of your rentals.
Yes. So with like for one house, I'm making like $60,000 a year, over 60,000 off of one house.
And how are you? Are you renting rooms to just individuals? Are you going through? Because we have a program now where I just found out today, but they're giving $3,000 for somebody that's registered as a sex offender per person, and then you have veterans. I heard they're giving $2,000 a room for. So how are you? You know,
I'm doing for individuals. So individuals must be working, co-ed professionals. So don't think a low end boarding house.
Right. Because that's why what you think of when you think of room.
Of course,
no,
that's what you think of. No, my stuff is nice, and I teach you how to do that. And the reason why, right? Like, there's nothing special about me. I like to consider myself like Batman, whereas I have a utility belt with a whole bunch of tools. You know what I mean? Yeah, I just got a utility belt. So I want you to have a whole bunch of tools. The reason being, I've been doing this full time since September of 2012. And the people who all they did was wholesale, well, a lot of those guys had to go back and get a job because they didn't know how to pivot into doing something else. But I want you to have more than one tool so you don't approach every problem with a hammer. Because sometimes you don't need a hammer. Sometimes you need a screwdriver. Sometimes you need some pliers. So I just want you to have multiple different ways to take down a deal. And even though I love wholesaling, getting a check for $10,000, $20,000, like when a few weeks ago, we picked up a check for $20,000 on a wholesale deal. Those are great. Those are good. But listen, I want you to get into ownership. Own something.
Use that as a vehicle to get to that next thing. And then how can they find out about your course? Like, and guys, like Nina said, he's giving all the gems, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's all on his YouTube. But specifically, I have one specific question about your course, and then we can talk about that. When in the wholesaling course, do you teach your students how to source deals?
Absolutely. That's extremely important. I teach them how to source deals, and because this is the most important part of real estate, no matter what you do, commercial real estate, development, et cetera, the deal is the most important. So I teach them how to go direct to seller. So where I buy houses, I don't buy them from realtors. I go direct to sellers. So I pull a list. So there are places that you can get a list of absentee owners. An absentee owner is somebody who owns a house, but they don't live there. So you pull these lists, you skip trace them. What is skip tracing? Skip tracing is getting somebody's information, like getting their phone number. To call. Like every other day, I'll get text messages and say, "Hey, I
want to sell."
There you go.
All the time, I'm like, "No, stop calling me." And they call from a different number.
So I teach you how to do this, how to find that, and you only need one yes. Now, one yes can make you anywhere between $5,000 and $50,000 on the wholesale deal. So. But yes, I definitely teach them how to find deals.
So then then all those other, like that waterfall of what to do next, the tool to use next, the app to use next, all of it is already on his YouTube.
Right.
All of
no
it is already
to another course.
That's what I'm saying. But the thing is to walk away with this value where you have this kind of mentor just walking you through it. Like I didn't know, and I've been a real estate professional for so long. And I realized it many years later, but I didn't know that I could have been making some money for myself during that time. I just missed out where somebody else just gave me a gift card.
Correct. So, and
that's why they gave you a gift card. Thank you for this $10,000. Let me give you this $50.
Yeah. So, but yes. So, but yeah, it's opportunity out here, guys. With me, I tell my students, listen, I'm not smarter than you. I just have information that you don't have. And I don't want you to wake up and go out into the world and think everybody's smarter than you. No, they're not. They just have information that you don't have. That's all it is. Don't think because somebody has this prestigious title to some type of job that, they are smarter than you, et cetera. Look at, it's coming out. It comes out multiple times a year, but all these athletes who handed their money, athletes and entertainers who handed their money over to someone who they thought was smarter than them
to manage their money.
And it's come out like, okay, well, I lost about $5 million that way. He put $1 million in the stock market. That we lost that, and then he stole $4 million. And by the time he got to $5 million, I realized what's going on. I fired him. I tried to to take a legal route, but the guy filed bankruptcy, so I couldn't do anything after that. So, you know, you get all these stories, you know, of all these athletes and entertainers, you know.
It happens a lot.
Every time you talk about athletes, he is a huge Charlotte Hornets fan.
Yeah, we terrible though. But
I mean, he reps hard, so
we terrible. But the latest situation that is a current topic, you know, I hate it had to be him. He seems like a very nice guy, but Joe Smith, he made $60 million during the NBA. Hypothetically speaking, they said after paying fees and taxes, he walked away with $18 million from the NBA. And from the $18 million, when he filmed this show, he retired 2011, 2013, retired around there. And this show that came on 2018 to help athletes get back on their feet. I forgot the name of it. A-Rod was the host. He had $3,000 in his bank account.
Wow.
So $3,000 between retirement in 2011 to 2018. And the host was asking him, what happened? Well, he got divorced because during his marriage, he had 4 outside kids. And then he started dating some other lady. She wrote herself $150,000 in foursome checks. He tried to press charges in California, but the police told him, well, she said you gave her the checkbook. So this he say, she say, so it's a civil matter. So that
equals 3,000.
That was an L. And then he married an adult entertainer.
Oh.
And yeah, she's now the woman who's she's 51, 52, and she's back on OnlyFans. So she has to do what she has to do, according to her, to make money. But we hear these stories all the time, and I don't want you guys, you know, and Joe's so nice, you know, to tell a story, to let us inside his life, man.
Yeah.
Like, don't be one of these guys, man, who just go around thinking that everybody else is smarter than you. No, they just have access to information you don't have, and you just got to get the information to level up.
But you have the information now.
It's right here on Stand on Your Business podcast.
Hey, so tell us how people can find you, locate you, stalk you,
and find that course, because they want that course too.
Okay, you can set up a call with my team at DuruSquadElite.com. DuruSquadElite.com.
Wait, a real call and everything?
No, real calm. So Duro Squad Elite. So .com, and on IG and YouTube, my most active platform. So that's Real Estate Duro.
Active.
Yeah, that's Real Estate Duro. I'm not a guru, I'm a Duro because I actually do this business. So when you type my name in, it's Doru, not guru, Doru. Duro because I do. So, all right. So Real Estate Duro on Instagram and YouTube, my most active platforms to find me.
Is there anything else that you would like to leave us with today?
Only thing, man, I want to leave you with is, listen, just always remember, man, if nothing changes, nothing changes. So if you complain about life, right now we are in the holiday season of 2023. And if you're complaining about life now and you don't have a plan to change, well, you're going to be complaining about the same thing next year, same time, holiday season 2024. Wow. So just, you know, put a plan in place and do something, man, because something is better than nothing. Slow motion is better than no motion.
I know that's right.
Say that all day.
I know that's right. So you will be able to listen and tap into this podcast on YouTube, Spotify. We'll be sending out the links. Once again, thank you so much for coming out today. This meant the world to us. Thank you so much.
Anytime I come to Chicago, y'all got the best food in the country. You know, anytime I can come into Chicago, I'm going to use that as an excuse.
But I can't believe that you came when it got cold. It was just warm 2 days ago. And it happened last time you guys came.
Yeah. Oh.
It went freezing. Like, we dropped like 30, 40 degrees in one night, and then you arrived. I don't know if you brought the cold.
Yeah.
No, he did it because it was colder yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday is what I'm talking about. It was freezing.
Oh, it was freezing yesterday. Yesterday was freezing. But yeah, I come to Chicago. I got to get my Harold's chicken, the mild sauce and everything. The Diagiornos, the deep dish, the Portillos, you know what I mean? Then when I get back to Charlotte, I get back on my diet.
Okay. Well, I'm from the West Side, so we're going to make him taste that Uncle Remus.
I need that Uncle Remus in my
life.
Yes, I do need that Uncle Remus in my life.
We got to let him know. But yeah, we thank you for coming, and we thank you always for being so passionate and sincere, always asking me about my kid. Like, this is somebody who is just not out here posting just for opportunity. Like, he sincerely knows what's going on. He's watching, he's helping, and we really appreciate you flying all the way here so we can motivate our followers to stand on their business, so that way we can get some homeowners and increase these percentages and get everybody to their very next level.
Thank you. Thank you.
See you guys.